Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A decorative texture or appearance of a surface, or the substance that gives it that appearance. The boat had a metallic finish. Event whose occurrence ends something. When these final episodes are broadcast, it will be the finish of the show. Finish eating all the food on one's plate or on the table. Finally, be or do something. The temporal end, the concluding time. The market was up at the finish. A highly developed state of perfection, having a flawless or impeccable quality. Almost an inspiration which gives to all work that finish which is almost art. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. The act of finishing. His best finish in a major tournament was third. Come or bring to a finish or an end. He finished the dishes. The place designated as the end, as of a race or journey. A crowd assembled at the finish. Cause to finish a relationship with somebody. That finished me with Mary. Designated event that concludes a contest, especially a race. Excitement grew as the finish neared. Provide with a finish. The carpenter finished the table beautifully. The downfall of someone, as of persons on one side of a conflict. Booze will be the finish of him. Wine tasting. The taste of a wine on the back of the tongue, as it is swallowed. The wine has a nutty flavor and a pleasant finish. A decorative texture or appearance of a surface, or the substance that gives it that appearance. A thin layer covering something. The work of applying something. The surface was ready for a coating of paint. A heavy fabric suitable for coats. A decorative texture or appearance of a surface, or the substance that gives it that appearance. The act of finishing. The speaker's finishing was greeted with applause. Event whose occurrence ends something. The proposition arrived at by logical reasoning, such as the proposition that must follow from the major and minor premises of a syllogism. The act of making up your mind about something. He drew his conclusions quickly. A position or opinion or judgment reached after consideration. His conclusion took the evidence into account. The act of ending something. The last section of a communication. In conclusion, I want to say. The temporal end, the concluding time. A final settlement. The conclusion of a business deal. An intuitive assumption. Jump to a conclusion. Event whose occurrence ends something. His death marked the ending of an era. The end of a word, a suffix or inflectional ending or final morpheme. I don't like words that have ism as an ending. The act of ending something. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The ending of warranty period. Finish eating all the food on one's plate or on the table. Use up resources or materials. Enclose or envelop completely, as if by swallowing. Kill intentionally and with premeditation. Finish a task completely. Finish eating all the food on one's plate or on the table. Finally be or do something. Finally be or do something. Finish a task completely. Finally be or do something. Finally be or do something. Block with earth, as after a landslide. Finally be or do something. Coil the spring of some mechanical device by turning a stem. Stimulate sexually. Give a preliminary swing to the arm pitching. Cease to operate or cause to cease operating. The owners decided to move and to close the factory. Come to a close. The concert closed with a nocturne by Chopin. Not far distant in time or space or degree or circumstances. She was close to tears. Of textiles. A close weave. Marked by fidelity to an original. A close translation. Fill or stop up. Can you close the cracks with caulking? Inclined to secrecy or reticence about divulging information. Although they knew her whereabouts, her friends kept close about it. Near in time or place or relationship. The bullet didn't come close. Move so that an opening or passage is obstructed. Make shut. In an attentive manner. He remained close on his guard. Lacking fresh air. The dreadfully close atmosphere. The last section of a communication. The temporal end. The concluding time. They were playing better at the close of the season. Come together, as if in an embrace. Her arms closed around her long-lost relative. The concluding part of any performance. Become closed. The windows closed with a loud bang. Crowded. Close quarters. Unite or bring into contact or bring together the edges of. Close the circuit. Giving or spending with reluctance. Very close, or near, with his money. Of a contest or contestants, evenly matched. A close contest. Fitting closely but comfortably. A close fit. At or within a short distance in space or time or having elements near each other. Close to noon. Bar access to. Due to the accident, the road had to be closed for several hours. Be priced or listed when trading stops. The stock market closed high this Friday. Bring together all the elements or parts of. Management closed ranks. Cause a window or an application to disappear on a computer desktop. Change one's body stance so that the forward shoulder and foot are closer to the intended point of impact. Close in relevance or relationship. A close family. Complete a business deal, negotiation, or an agreement. We closed on the house on Friday. Confined to specific persons. A close secret. Draw near. The probe closed with the space station. Engage at close quarters. Close with the enemy. Finish a game in baseball by protecting a lead. The relief pitcher closed with 2 runs in the second inning. Finish or terminate, meetings, speeches, etc. The meeting was closed with a charge by the chairman of the board. Rigorously attentive, strict and thorough. Close supervision. Strictly confined or guarded. Kept under close custody. Used of hair or haircuts. A close military haircut. The closing section of a musical composition. The temporal end, the concluding time. The concluding part of any performance. The temporal end, the concluding time. The market was up at the finish. The concluding part of any performance. Persist for a specified period of time. The bad weather lasted for 3 days. The time at which life ends, continuing until dead. A struggle to the last. The item at the end. Last, I'll discuss family values. Not to be altered or undone. The arbiter will have the last say. Holding device shaped like a human foot that is used to fashion or repair shoes. The temporal end, the concluding time. Continue to live and avoid dying. How long can a person last without food and water? Occurring at or forming an end or termination. The last days of the dinosaurs. Conclusive in a process or progression. A last resort. Highest in extent or degree. To the last measure of human endurance. Lowest in rank or importance. Last prize. The final stage or concluding parts of an event or occurrence. I had to miss the last of the movie. A person's dying act, the final thing a person can do. He breathed his last. A unit of capacity for grain equal to 80 bushels. A unit of weight equal to 4,000 pounds. Coming after all others in time or space or degree or being the only one remaining. The last time I saw Paris. Immediately past. Last Thursday. Most unlikely or unsuitable. The last person we would have suspected. Occurring at the time of death. His last words. The last or lowest in an ordering or series. He was the last to leave. The temporal end, the concluding time. The stopping point of each round was signaled by a bell. A highly developed state of perfection, having a flawless or impeccable quality. Agriculture, production of food by preparing the land to grow crops, especially on a large scale. Socialization through training and education to develop one's mind or manners. Her cultivation was remarkable. The act of raising or growing plants, especially on a large scale. The process of fostering the growth of something. The cultivation of bees for honey. A particular society at a particular time and place. A highly developed state of perfection, having a flawless or impeccable quality. All the knowledge and values shared by a society. Biology, the growing of microorganisms in a nutrient medium, such as gelatin or agar. The culture of cells in a petri dish. Grow in a special preparation. The attitudes and behavior that are characteristic of a particular social group or organization. The developing drug culture. The raising of plants or animals. The culture of oysters. The tastes in art and manners that are favored by a social group. Make a surface shine. Polish my shoes. Bring to a highly developed, finished, or refined state. Polish your social manners. A highly developed state of perfection, having a flawless or impeccable quality. They performed with great polish. The property of being smooth and shiny. Improve or perfect by pruning or polishing. A preparation used in polishing. The Slavic language of Poland. Of or relating to Poland or its people or culture. The process of removing impurities, as from oil or metals or sugar, etc. A highly developed state of perfection, having a flawless or impeccable quality. I admired the exquisite refinement of his prose. The result of improving something. He described a refinement of this technique. The quality of excellence in thought and manners and taste. A man of intellectual refinement. A subtle difference in meaning or opinion or attitude. Put an end to a state or an activity. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. Cease is a noun only in the phrase, without cease, end. A piece of cloth that is left over after the rest has been used or sold. Bring to an end or halt. She ended their friendship when she found out that he had once been convicted of a crime. Be the end of. Be the last or concluding part of. This sad scene ended the movie. The state of affairs that a plan is intended to achieve and that, when achieved, terminates behavior intended to achieve it. The ends justify the means. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The end of the year. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. My property ends by the bushes. The final stage or concluding parts of an event or occurrence. The end was exciting. A final state. He came to a bad end. Either extremity of something that has length. The end of the pier. A boundary marking the extremities of something. The end of town. A final part or section. We have given it at the end of the section since it involves the calculus. American football. A position on the line of scrimmage. No one wanted to play end. Football. The person who plays at one end of the line of scrimmage. The end managed to hold on to the pass. One of two places from which people are communicating to each other. The phone rang at the other end. Put an end to. The terrible news ended our hopes that he had survived. The part you were expected to play. He held up his end. The surface at either extremity of a three-dimensional object. One end of the box was marked, this side up. Put an end to a state or an activity. An obstruction in a pipe or tube. The act of stopping something. The third baseman made some remarkable stops. Prevent completion. Stop the project. The state of inactivity following an interruption. He spent the entire stop in his seat. Stop from happening or developing. Render unsuitable for passage. Stop the busy road. A restraint that checks the motion of something. He used a book as a stop to hold the door open. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. Your rights stop where you infringe upon the rights of other. Stop and wait, as if awaiting further instructions or developments. Interrupt a trip. We stopped at Aunt Mary's house. Seize on its way. A mechanical device in a camera that controls size of aperture of the lens. A consonant produced by stopping the flow of air at some point and suddenly releasing it. His stop consonants are too aspirated. Come to a halt, stop moving. The car stopped. The event of something ending. It came to a stop at the bottom of the hill. A brief stay in the course of a journey. They made a stopover to visit their friends. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. In England they call a period a stop. Hold back, as of a danger or an enemy. Check the expansion or influence of. A spot where something halts or pauses. His next stop is Atlanta. Cause to stop. Stop a car. Music. A knob on an organ that is pulled to change the sound quality from the organ pipes. The organist pulled out all the stops. Bring to an end or halt. The attack on Poland terminated the relatively peaceful period after WWI. Be the end of. Be the last or concluding part of. Terminate the employment of. Discharge from an office or position. The company terminated 25% of its workers. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. The bronchioles terminate in a capillary bed. Without qualification. Used informally as, often pejorative, intensifiers. A complete coward. Perfect and complete in every respect, having all necessary qualities. A complete gentleman. Having come or been brought to a conclusion. The harvesting was complete. Highly skilled. A complete musician. Write all the required information onto a form. Complete a pass. Come or bring to a finish or an end. She completed the requirements for her master's degree. Complete or carry out. Bring to a whole, with all the necessary parts or elements. A child would complete the family. Having every necessary or normal part or component or step. A complete meal. Written directions for finding some location, written on letters or packages that are to be delivered to that location. The ultimate goal for which something is done. The place designated as the end, as of a race or journey. He was nearly exhausted as their destination came into view. The state of affairs that a plan is intended to achieve and that, when achieved, terminates behavior intended to achieve it. The place designated as the end, as of a race or journey. A successful attempt at scoring. The winning goal came with less than a minute left to play. Game equipment consisting of the place toward which players of a game try to advance a ball or puck in order to score points. An appearance that serves to decorate and make something more attractive. An event that happens. An event that happens.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.